I made a post this morning on X. It's not Twitter, it's X. It is not Twitter. You are a boomer if you call it Twitter. It is not Twitter, it is X. And I'm just like I went around. I stopped at a place. I went to get some coffee this morning. I sat down and I made a post. Erika Kirk was in the news. She made an appearance on the Charlie Kirk show, and she was defending herself against her critics. I think that's long overdue. I think that she needs, I think that there's a lot of things about her that she should have addressed months ago, but now she's getting back to where she's firing back at this stuff. And so I made a post, went about my day, just expressed my mind. Next thing I know, I'm getting a text message, and it's Jason Whitlock who texts me, and he's like, "Hey, appreciate that post, good job." And I'm thinking, what just happened? So I looked at I opened up my phone, and sure enough, like I'm on Twitter, I've got like, excuse me, I keep having boomer moments. On X, I have like 20,000 followers. Jason Whitlock's like pushing 1 million. Okay, so he's like, I am a mess. And he said, "Nice post." And I realized he shared my post about Erika Kirk. And literally, this phone all day, thank you, Jason Whitlock, this phone all day has been on fire with the fires of hell. Oh boy, what a mess. Someone said years ago, no, there is no such thing as bad press. I might have got a little bit of bad press today, but whatever. So what did I say? And by the way, follow us on X. Follow us on X. I have to keep saying it. X. Okay, that was a satanic spell I just cast over my audience. All of you are under my spell now. Okay. Anyway, judgment on you, so what did I say about Erika Kirk? Okay, and I can see how this will get a reaction, but I said Erika Kirk needs to step down from Turning Point USA. Here's what I said. I said, okay, so I watched what Erika Kirk had to say. She is a hurt and broken woman that has been through the unimaginable. I agree with that. That's why I wrote that. She was defending herself against months and months of personal attacks. Totally understandable. However, I think America needs organizations like Turning Point USA in a political sense to move the needle away from the leftist hellscape that so many want. But women like Erika Kirk are not going to be the strong leaders that can make that happen. She is honoring her husband by stepping into his shoes for a time, but I think that time is over. The political right will not be advanced by female voices like Erika. Erika needs to go home and raise her children, which is a conservative and Christian concept, and let a strong man lead the organization. She had her moment. We all agree with her, but the moment is over. Turning Point USA needs a strong male leader. I pray they find one soon. And I threw this down there a little bit where I said a leader stepping aside can allow an organization to reset, refocus, and move forward without distraction. In these cases, resignation is not defeat. It is sacrifice for the sake of the mission. And so what is the mission? In my mind, the mission of Turning Point USA is to create a conservative conversation in America and advance the cause of right-wing Republican politics, and which I would much rather live in a right-wing Republican-esque nation than as a Bible-believing Christian than I would in a dystopian Kamala Harris, AOC, what is her name? That the Somalian woman who married her brother. I don't want to live in that, because it's like that is absolutely the road to Mad Max, and we are eating each other like cannibals. That is for sure the road, but at least on the other road there is a little bit of a chance that we don't end up there. Maybe we will, but I think that from a Christian perspective, the Republican right-wing side at least gives us the space and the room religiously to preach the gospel so that we can get people saved before the Lord comes. And that's why I am inclined more towards that way politically. There's a lot of philosophical and political theory we could talk about with that. I'm not going to get into political science here on this, but I believe in the Bill of Rights and Constitution and stuff like that. But political liberalism and leftism, the figureheads of that movement are always Hillary Clinton and AOC and the Squad and Kamala Harris. Like, the political socialism is always the face of that is always a woman. Well, the face of republicanism, the face of conservatism, and the face of right-wing politics has always been masculine. And you have like this, divine feminine, divine masculine dynamic going on, and that's because literally Democrat politics and left-wing politics is always inherently anti-Bible. And anytime, and it doesn't mean I'm not whitewashing the Republican side, because they're a bunch of heretics too in a lot of ways. But from a order perspective, the left wing is always run by women. And I just don't see a future for conservatism that the face of that is female. I have made some wild statements on this channel before. That's nothing new to you guys. But I do believe that a conservative female influencer is a feminist that is getting ready to hatch. I do. I just believe that. And I think the track record proves that. Anytime that women get into power, they always end up going left, and they always end up going feminist. And even a lot of the right-wing influencers, like I saw a woman, I think Megan Basham, she worked with the Daily Wire. Pray for her. She's got cancer. She claims to be a believer and a nice person. Even she says it's almost as if women don't have the grit, and it's almost like the mothering, nurturing nature of women almost prevents them from holding the line on rigid, hard theological situations and political situations. That's what she said. And so conservative feminists, Jeff Smith said, conservative feminists are still feminists. That's exactly right. And so there's just a lot here. And I just don't think, in my opinion, as I watched Charlie Kirk was a man. He was a strong man. I think he was in grave theological error on many things. His ecumenism was a total disaster. Frank Turek, right there in his right pocket, as he's going ecumenical, was a very, very terrible, misguided, bad judgment that he was given, bad information. I think evangelicalism is way too ecumenical. They always end up at the foot of the Pope, and even I hate to even say it, but like literally 30 seconds before Charlie Kirk died, he was spending that time before he went into eternity praising the Mormon Church for sending out Mormon missionaries and how America needs more Mormon missionaries. That freaks me out, just to be totally honest with you. But Charlie Kirk was a man, and Charlie Kirk could stand up and fight people. He could stand up and push back against these leftist hellions. He could stand up and fight back against the abortion crowd and the anti-gun crowd. He could fight those people, and I mean, he absolutely embarrassed them. He wrecked those people. I remember Ben Shapiro used to do that kind of stuff. And I mean, watching Ben Shapiro in 2015 dunk on these low IQ college freshmen was a spectacular moment in his career. It really is what launched him into all that. And then, watching Steven Crowder do all that stuff on political campuses, prove me wrong and all that kind of stuff, how it became a meme. That was a wonderful time. That was like, we were moving the needle in that time. And then Charlie Kirk picked up the mantle, and so it's always been men that push conservatism. And so, but Erika Kirk, I don't think Erika Kirk has the tools that she needs as a political pundit to push the needle even further into conservative. Like a bunch of 16-year-old dudes, like for example, hypothetically, we got this 16-year-old dude out there, and he's the captain of his football team. He's the quarterback. He weighs 195. He bench presses 315. He likes to fight. He's an alpha male of alpha males. When he graduates high school, he's going right into the Navy SEALs. He is not going to watch a video of Erika Kirk and say, I'm going to vote Republican from here on out. It's not the appeal. Now, Charlie Kirk, yeah, it could have been that way. But I just don't think that Erika is going to be the face of this going forward. I just don't think she is. I mean, if you watch that video, I mean, it was almost like, it was a hurt woman. I mean, it was a hurt woman, and a hurt woman. has all the prayers that I could ever muster for her. I do pray for Erika. I hate what happened. I hate what happened. But I don't think that she's going to be the all-inspiring figurehead of a conservative revival in American culture. I think if she wants to do something that's conservative and she wants to do something that's Christian, she needs to go home and take care of her kids. I think that would be the great example that she could live. That would be the great gift to America that she could give as a woman who literally had the face of an organization, a woman who is literally the face of Turning Point USA, and she gave it up and walked away to do something greater than Turning Point USA, which was to go home and raise her babies. Now, here in Titus chapter 2, it says, that the older women in the church are to teach the young women here to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, Titus 2:3 or 4 and 5, to be discreet, chaste, and keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Now, keepers at home, that's something that God has called every woman to be and to do, and I know there's extenuating circumstances in a lot of women's life that prevent them from doing that. But in an ideal, stable home, that is what needs to happen. Now, Erika Kirk is a multi-millionaire. She can go put all that in a brokerage account, and she can live off the interest and do better than you and I. I mean, she probably, I don't know how much money she could draw, but I mean, like, hypothetically, the girl could just live off the interest and have a budget of $400,000 a year income just off the residuals of what she owns. Okay, Turning Point USA could pay her a salary and put the golden handcuffs on her and tell her to go home and just be a good example and take care of your kids. That's what conservatism needs. Conservatism needs men who are strong, and it needs women who are doing what God has called them to do as well, which is raising strong kids. That's what America needs. That's what conservatism needs, and it doesn't need a boss babe corporate woman going out there and tangling like Donald Trump with the media and with journalists and whatever. That's not God's will, and really, quite frankly, okay. Let me give you an example of something that just came to my mind. When I was in high school, and you got to understand just my worldview and my world experience, I've had some very unique experience. I grew up in the metro Atlanta area down in the deep South, and I am Southern. You may know this by how I talk, is that I am a Southerner. That's what I am. And, George on My Mind by, what's his name, the blind guy. I heard that all the time growing up as a kid. But where I came from, men were men. Okay, the old joke where I came from is, where I grew up, the men were men and the women were too. All right, but people were tough. People were strong. People would fight, and I'm talking about fight. And we, I'm talking about, we're teenage boys. We get on that football field to kill each other, and it was glorious. I got so many concussions. I mean, there was times I went to chemistry the next day. I didn't even know how to spell my name. I got beat up so bad in that football practice squad and on the field, buddy. My dad always tells me, he said, you're smart, Spencer, but I wonder how smart you could have been had you not played football. And I get that. But I remember one day we were on the football squad. We were lining up for special teams, and we were lining up to do field goals, PATs, point after touchdowns. And we all lined up. My job was to be on the left side, the right side of the line, and put my left foot behind the guy in front of me, and get on a 3-point stance. And as soon as that ball was snapped, my job was to lean my head in and just absorb the blows from the defensive line. For some reason, there was this very large, very awkward woman on the field that day that we had never seen before. And it was hilarious. Like we thought, who is this woman? I didn't know who she was. Like she was like very overweight. She had like a real short man haircut. She had earrings, like really, I don't know. I thought she was like a lesbian or something. I don't know. What is this woman out here? And our special teams coach, I think his name was Coach Smith, very forgettable man. But he said, boys, fellas, listen up. This is so-and-so, and she's from the NFL, and she's one of the special teams assistants on this. And I think she said like the Tennessee Titans or something like that. She's like, she's here. It's a friend of mine. She's going to coach us as we do this point after attempt. She's going to try to help us tighten this up a little bit. And I said, okay. I'm like, what does this woman know about football? And what is that all about? And so she came out there and she started, hey, all right, boys, we're gonna come over here. It sounded like Chris Farley from that Matt Foley skit. He's like, okay, boys, we're gonna have a day where we're gonna talk about, and we all started laughing. Okay, I thought it was a joke. I thought, what is going on here? This woman is out here acting like a drill sergeant in us, okay? And she goes, okay, I want everybody to light it up. I mean, what's wrong with her voice? And I thought, what is this? And so we lined it up, and my job, get 3-point stance, and when the ball snapped, I just leaned in and just, whatever. That's we went through the formality of that. Well, we went through it, and the kicker kicked the ball, and next thing I know, I heard this woman going, look what I can do! Look what I can do! Look what I can do! And I'm like, what is she doing? Well, it turns out, our guy, like, his name was, I remember his name yesterday, like Chad Chappell. His daddy was Mike Chappell, the famous Gwinnett County police officer that went to jail. Okay, like Chad Chappell was sitting there. He was like the center. He snapped the ball, and like he looked between his legs so he could know where to throw the ball for the guy that was catching the ball, and gonna put it down. And like it was like that woman had her hand down Chad's shoulder pad, sticking her hand down like his spine as he was snapping that ball, and she was pushing him and rocking him back and forth, saying, "Look what I can do! Look what I can do!" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "You're not supposed to be able to be pushed like that." And like she was going out there, like literally, she was going out there literally bullying us teenagers. Okay. And I'm talking about, I'm in the line with guys, and all of these guys can bench press 6 plates. All right. We were young guys, but we were men. Okay. And I did not line up with sissies. It was bad. And we did not receive her for one reason. And you won't guess what that reason is? We did not receive her because she was a woman. Period. Now that sounds just so awful to even say that. But like if a woman emailed me and said, "I'm gonna give you some advice, Brother Spencer," I would take that advice. Okay, so I'm not a hard head. I'm not an idiot like that. Matter of fact, I've got a letter up there on that wall and that cork board. Somebody sent me an email to our Spencer Smith members, and that was a woman viewer of our channel, and she outlined for me, she said, "Spencer, I want to help you manage your time, and I want to teach you how to set a deadline on a project and that kind of stuff." And that letter helped me so much that I printed that out, and I have stuck that on my wall, and that was a woman telling me that. So, okay, so I'm not a chauvinist or whatever. I'm not a pig. I'm not one of these, ain't no woman gonna tell me what to do. I mean, any man who says that is obviously not married, okay? Is obviously not married, because once you get married and you have daughters, like your whole life is women telling you what to do. That's, I mean, like even the voice on the GPS on my phone is a woman telling me to turn right. Everywhere I go, women telling me what to do, and I'm an obedient slave of the female divine feminine world that I live in. I'm always being told what to do, and I am an obedient man. But I'm giving you that illustration because I'm trying to get people to understand how the young male mind works. The young male mind is not looking for a Joan of Arc figure to follow. The young male mind in America is looking at a Chris Kyle or a Jocko Willink or an Andrew Tate. That's what they're looking at, okay? They want this outrageous caricature of masculinity. I mean, they want a guy that literally, I mean, he looks, he's just absolutely just jacked, and he's just like they want a guy that is like Conan the Barbarian, Rocky Balboa, and Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man all rolled into one. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what conservative figures respond to. Okay, that's why Donald Trump got elected, because Donald Trump isn't. I mean, as much as a disaster I think as this second term has been for him, Donald Trump is a savage. Like, Donald Trump doesn't care. Donald Trump running his mouth in such a loose, edgy way is why he is the president of the United States. Okay, when people asked him, I think Megyn Kelly, I remember when the first debate that Donald Trump did it was Megyn Kelly and, Ben Carson, Rand Paul, all those guys, Chris Christie, all those guys up there on the stage. And Megyn Kelly asked him a question, but, I heard that you're not for women. And by the way, Megyn Kelly's a feminist. Okay, I know she's rebranded, went to NBC. I know that she's doing her own thing now. Megyn Kelly always has been a Catholic feminist. That's what she is. She pretends like she's MAGA, but she really isn't. Okay, which goes to my larger point, which is that all conservative female influencers are feminist. They always are. Okay. I think I'm making a lot of people mad. Is everybody okay tonight? I got 2 thumbs down now. Praise God. I'm earning it tonight. But Megyn Kelly asked Donald Trump a question and said, you say things about women that are derogatory. You say things that they're fat pigs and all this and you say terrible derogatory things about women. And you remember Donald Trump just went, only to Rosie O'Donnell. Only to Rosie O'Donnell. And when he said that, the crowd erupted. And at that point, I knew Donald Trump is about to be the president of the United States. And because, and the way he mocked Jeb Bush, was spectacular. Jeb Bush over there like a 6th grade nerd trying to deal with a high school senior bully. That's what Donald Trump and Jeb Bush looked like. Jeb Bush is like, my mommy says I'd be a good president, so I'm here. And Donald Trump's like, get out of here, loser. I mean, it was spectacular. But see, that's what conservatism and that's what right-wing politics goes by. It doesn't respond well to, my husband got shot and you people are saying mean things about me and it's not nice. And that's, of course, that's maybe an unfair characterization of Erika Kirk. But like the young conservative mind is not going to follow Erika. They're just not going to do it. They're looking for a hero. They're looking for a man. They're looking for a masculine figure. And I think that Turning Point USA was a force politically. Now spiritually, we're going to talk a whole other thing. I think spiritually they were satanic and did a bunch of junk. And I think there's, Turning Point Faith USA is straight from the pits of hell. But I think politically, the conversations of, we don't need to abort babies. We need to keep our guns. We need to, no more new wars. Okay. We don't need to be a globalist police force. And I think all those conservative points are good and need to be said here in the United States of America. But I don't think a woman is the correct figure that is going to be the one that inspires the next generation to embrace those principles. And with that being said, I am not anti-Erika Kirk. I have prayed for her. I think that she's doing wrong by trying to be a conservative figurehead and leaving her children at home. I mean, literally, who is raising these kids? While you're off, doing these meetings and flying hither, tither, and yon all over the world, it is not your job to save America. It is your job before God, according to the Word of God, to go home and